Okay, welcome to this session as we take a look at searching Medline in the new EBSCOhost user interface. And I appreciate some of you may have already been using this, have migrated around August time, some have deferred to a bit later, but we have been running sessions also on CINAHL covering this. So some of you may have attended the CINAHL session. There are some similarities, there are some overlaps, but obviously we keep enhancing these sessions to incorporate developments, changes that are taking place, with more to come as well. So to formally introduce myself, I'm Richard Crooks. I'm a senior customer training specialist based here in the East Midlands in the UK. I recently rejoined EBSCO back in July and have been with EBSCO now for almost 14 years and previously worked as a librarian for the NHS in England. So typically I support EBSCO customers, clients in the UK, Ireland, and also on occasion the Nordics as well. And I believe we have some from the Nordics present today in this session. So you're most welcome. Of course, this is open to all sectors and territories. So just to outline then what we plan to cover, we'll look at the new interface features, some of the key elements there. There will be a live demonstration covering basic advanced searching, the use of the mesh terms, the subject headings, also filters and limiters, and the tools where you want to store, cite, save, references, searches, etc. So obviously you may be very familiar with the original classic interface and you're still using MEDLINE EBSCOhost in the classic version. We are looking at the new interface. And of course, time permitting, we will have more questions or responses at the end as well. These sessions do tend to go the hour, the 4 hour, or sometimes over. So we'll try and keep it as within the hour as much as possible. So in terms of the session objectives, I hope that by then this training, you'll be able to recognize and locate the new features of the new interface. Obviously, this is important for you to educate and instruct your users. We may have some users on this session. We may have students join this session as well. Of course, they're welcome as well. So again, the session will be kind of all encompassing. And then you'll also be able to understand how to execute basic and advanced searches, including the use of subject headings, the mesh terms, in other words, for MEDLINE, filters, limiters in this database. So obviously the whole thing is related to the new interface specifically. And you'll be able to access and use various tools within EBSCO's interface to manage your research, so your results and so on, and how to process those. So in terms of recap then, this is really for the benefit of those who are completely new to MEDLINE, especially if we have some end users on board here today, some students. So a reminder that we're looking at an authoritative bibliographic database which contains citations and abstracts for biomedical and health journals used and needed by healthcare professionals worldwide. So we are looking at the basic version of MEDLINE. I'll say more about that in a moment. So in terms of the range of MEDLINE databases we provide, they all provide access to a broad range of medical research subjects from general health and medicine, pharmacology, neurology, histology, microbiology, and so on. In addition to that, of course, we note that obviously MEDLINE content is indexed with the medical subject headings provided by the National Library of Medicine, which is updated annually. And when you go to the interface, you will see the denotation MEDLINE Mesh 2025. So we know we're using the latest version of the indexing. Of course, that will be updated come January to 2026, as it were. So we are looking at content which can be discovered either through keyword searching or a combination of keyword searching and the use of the mesh terms as well. So just to clarify then, the database version that we're looking at, we are going to be using the basic abstract and index only version of MEDLINE in this demonstration to ensure that we're covering everyone in a sense, because the principles that we're looking at, the features we're looking at will be applicable across all versions of MEDLINE. So whether you subscribe to MEDLINE with full text or MEDLINE Complete or the high-end version of MEDLINE Ultimate, this session will still be appropriate for you and your end users. And of course, MEDLINE Complete, MEDLINE Ultimate has a larger quantity of active full text non-embargo content, but the interface will be the same essentially. So just a couple of things to highlight then, which have been incorporated into the new EBSCOhost user interface, as you would have expected. We have the MEDLINE limiter, the EBM or evidence-based medicine reviews filter. And as some of you may have noted before with Classic, this will limit your search results to 6 titles. So the Cochrane database of systematic reviews, the ACP Journal Club, clinical evidence, evidence-based mental health, and so on. So essentially, you're limiting results for your search to a small set of titles, resources that apply very strict criteria and therefore include high-quality evidence-based content. And that would include, of course, systematic reviews, especially when you think of Cochrane there. So you can search for a search term or terms, and then you can filter immediately to retrieve the appropriate high quality evidence-based content. And that may be just a scoping exercise to see what's out there and what's been done before. In addition to that, we also have the MEDLINE Limited Clinical Queries, which is also available in its own version for CINAHL. And this is where you can refine your search using specific search strategies designed to narrow your results in these 9 research areas. So therapy, diagnosis, prognosis, review, so on. Also quantitative research, causation or etiology, and costs and economics. So you'll note on the left-hand screenshot there with therapy highlighted, you have high sensitivity, high specificity, and best balance for each of these research areas. So there are 3 strategies that are applicable to these areas. And essentially, with high sensitivity, you would be looking at retrieving or limiting results to the broadest search to include all relevant material, though it may include some less relevant content. With high specificity, it's the most targeted search, so that would include the most relevant results set, but may miss some relevant materials. And of course, you have the best balance between the two. So basically, you can apply this limiter to your search and then obviously retrieve results in relation to those research areas according to those search strategies. We do have information on the actual search strategies, the Boolean logic that's used to create these. That's available through EBSCO Connect. So we provide more information. So this feature has been available for many years within the EBSCO's interface for MEDLINE and the equivalent in CINAHL, but this has also been enhanced or applied to the new interface. So with that, just highlighting those 2 features which are able to be deployed when you need to use them. We want to look at some of the key features in recent enhancements to the interface. So again, this will be applicable to other EBSCOhost databases as well. So just to mention then, the EBSCO's new URL structure. So what does this mean in practice? It means essentially the browser address bar URL can now be used for any page as a permalink. In other words, you can bookmark the web link for that resource, that access that material, as it were. So previously and currently with the EBSCOhost Classic interface, which I know is still available to the NHS in England and other NHS organisations in the UK and the agency in Ireland, so it's still being used currently, you need to find the dedicated permalink to bookmark the page. In other words, you cannot use the session-based URL. Now with an interface that is no longer necessary, you can bookmark the browser address URL for future reference, etc. So that's the new URL structure incorporated into the new interface. In addition, as you can appreciate, we have an ongoing effort at EBSCO to support accessibility to the new interface for all user groups, etc. So the interface is responsive. It can be used on different sized devices, whether you're accessing through a mobile device, a tablet, laptop, desktop, and so on. Also, the design has been simplified to reduce the cognitive load. We've had comments about the amount of white space on the interface, and that is deliberate to ensure that there is this reduction in cognitive load for users. We have the features auto-suggest, auto-correct. The ability to access quick filters has been enhanced. We support accessible ebook formats, including EPUB and DRM-free content. There are headings and landmarks for screen reader navigation, so like using JAWS, etc. And we also have descriptive text for non-text, so for images, etc. There are also where appropriate transcripts for videos, and also we incorporate the text-to-speech software, not only for HTML articles, which has always been the case within the original interface, but even now with the new interface, we support text-to-speech software for PDF content as well. So you can download the MP3 file, the audio file for PDF content, as well as HTML full text articles. Again, if you've got any comments, questions, or need more information, we can supply that as needed. In terms of globalization, obviously, EBSCO sells, promotes about 400 databases worldwide, and obviously much of those are on the EBSCO platform. And so there is this ongoing effort to support globalization to ensure that the new interface supports the majority of languages or the most common languages that are out there currently. Recently, Hindi's been added. So there are about 33 languages currently that you can switch the interface to. So if you're in the Nordics, if you're in Scandinavia, then you can choose the appropriate language there to view the interface if English is not your preferred language, as it were. Now, we know a lot of education systems support English, of course, but users can switch between different languages as appropriate, and that can be set in the EBSCO preferences. So with their personal user account, they can set the preferred language to view the actual interface. So obviously those numbers will increase over time with additional languages being added. In addition to this, on this subject of language, the HTML full text articles also provide machine translation support for HTML articles. So that's provided by Microsoft. So when you come to an article, you can translate that into your preferred language. So it could be your native language, as it were. Also, another enhancement has been the application of the Pico search app. So that has been around for a while, but now we've added the fifth element, if you like, the time or type of study. So in other words, how long would it take to reach the desired outcome for the research, what types of studies are needed, etc. So that is not a mandatory field. The only two that are mandated when using the Pico search is the population or patient or problem aspect. So what individual group are you interested in studying, and also the intervention. So those two fields must be completed. Data must be entered, terms must be entered in order to use this feature. However, comparison may not be applicable, outcome may be implied, as it were. But essentially, this provides a better search experience within MEDLINE than its predecessor, which some of you may have used previously. Also wanted to introduce here generative AI insights. Some of you may have had this enabled already. I spoke to someone yesterday who's also got this applied within the NHS in England, although generally nationally it's not available currently. But basically, it's freely available. There's no cost to this, by the way. Essentially, its insights are generated by prompting a large language model. I believe it's Claude Haiku currently, to summarize insights from a selected article. Now, the selected article must be online full text. So in other words, it's summarizing the content of that full text article, typically providing 2 to 5 key points for each document in a bulleted format. So it kind of complements the abstract. The abstracts may still be available, but this is kind of a bulleted summary of the full text article, as it were. Okay, so it essentially reduces the time users spend searching for relevant full text articles and supporting their research. So it does facilitate a more rapid review, as it were. And just to clarify this, just to reassure you, AI Insight prompt uses RAG, the RAG method, so the retrieval augmented generation method, to reduce hallucinations. Okay, so, and obviously there's an ongoing process to review content. So EBSCO reviews a representative example of AI insights with the appropriate subject matter experts to provide the human in the loop aspect for reviewing content to check for bias, tone, accuracy, and timeliness of insights as a quality and responsible AI metric, as it were. So just to make sure that what's being generated is appropriate. Okay, so that's an ongoing process. There's an option to feedback as well. You can indicate whether the insight was helpful or otherwise online, so when that's available. So you will see links to that where appropriate. We may not see that today in the demonstration site, but you will see that if you have that enabled already. If you're interested in this being enabled or trying it out, then please speak to your local area EBSCO representative for this. Now, what we will see is the natural language search mode, which is also AI empowered. So basically, it will allow users to perform a search using everyday terminology in the form of a question or a statement. So it works when you enter it in the form of a question or a statement. So it could be even a clinical question, as it were, and it will streamline information retrieval, make it faster and more efficient to use. Okay, so using everyday language queries. So it reflects the phenomenon with tools like Siri, Google, and Alexa that we're getting used to. Now, this is an opt-in, so it may be disabled, it may be visible, but disabled by default, so it can be switched off, as it were. It's applicable to the basic search page, although most users within this sector will probably access through the advanced search page. So it can be made visible and or made the default search mode for a given profile. Okay, but we'll see this in action shortly. So that is just a screenshot there of the search modes and the option to enable that. So just to clarify that with the new interface, there are 2 admin tools used to customize it. EBSCO admin, which is the traditional classic admin tool, it's still applicable. especially when you're selecting databases to view within EBSCOhost. Also for tracking reports and statistics, it's still available, and for some other features as well. With EBSCO Experience Manager, that's the new platform. So that works in conjunction with EBSCO Admin. Eventually, that will replace EBSCO Admin at some point. But right now, EBSCO Experience Manager has numerous features which you can enable or disable, and that includes natural language searching. We have provided additional training on EBSCO Experience Manager. My colleague Sood, based in London, does some general sessions. I also do some for the Sheriff group of libraries. I don't know if we have any Sheriff librarians on this in this session today, but we do provide training on EBSCO Experience Manager for those who may need that. Okay, but we won't talk about that today in detail. So users can opt in to use the natural language search mode again for the advanced search page as well. So it's a search mode which you can switch on to. Okay, so it's important to do that if you do enter your query in the form of a question, for example. And also more recently, so again this month, just recently, a few days ago, we now have the option to view the citation details, so the additional metadata for volume number, issue number, page number, numbers, and page count within the result list. So within the record on the result list page, that is now displayed. Okay, so that's a new release, one of the most recent releases that we've had, with more coming as well. So again, if there's any comments, questions, or feedback, maybe you've been trying some of these features, maybe you're already using the resource, they would like to hear from you. So please put it in the Teams chat. I will give you my email address at the end if you want to contact me directly. But for those who work in the NHS in England, if you have any technical issues with the interface that you're trying out, or even the EBSCO's classic version, then we do recommend you go through the NHS service desk initially before they escalate to EBSCO. So let's go to the live demonstration. Let me go on here now. So what we're going to do is start looking at some of the search aspects. But first of all, before I do that, is just to go through, again, the current interface and what we have here. So we have the advanced search screen. Looks somewhat similar to the classic, bit cleaner. Obviously, more simplified design, clean interface. We have the multiple rows, so you can enter multiple search terms, and you can add additional rows up to 12. So we know some librarians, when they're doing the evidence searches, they like to enter terms line by line. We have the Boolean operators here and or not there included. So you can add up to 12 rows. By default, it's set to 3, as you see. We have obviously the drop-down field codes as well. So we're looking at MEDLINE. So these are specific to MEDLINE as well. And we now have the new title and abstract XB field. So you can search simultaneously for words appearing in the title or abstract. So although it says title and abstract, it does mean the term would appear in the title or abstract. Okay. And then we have other fields also included, including the mesh ones, MH for the exact match heading, etc. So again, they're included so you can enter your search terms and qualify them with a field code. Otherwise, you can run an unqualified search. Above that, we have the basic search screen there. So you may default to this, maybe for undergraduates. Maybe, in certain instances, you may go to the screen. In most cases, you won't do that. But we do have the quick links below here, and also the natural language search mode as well. So I won't run it for this page specifically because we will be spending much time on the advanced search screen, but we'll come to natural language search in a moment. We also have the Pico tool as well on the right there. That opens up a separate page, and then you can enter terms there, which we'll do shortly when we look at that live. Within this page, you'll see the default tab below the search boxes is filters. So you can see different filters here. You can link to full text. So link to full text here indicates that we're looking at content that may be beyond the actual database itself. MEDLINE, of course, the basic version is abstract and index only. It's not MEDLINE Complete or MEDLINE Ultimate with active full text and non-embargoed content already available through the database, but this will link through to your online subscriptions where appropriate. Maybe you've got a link resolver set up like Full Text Finder. You might have other EBSCO databases with full text content, which is also indexed in MEDLINE, in which case the links will be transferred. So linked full text is kind of all-embracing full text content. Again, it could be a PDF article, HTML article. It could be open access content from the directory of open access journals, for example. Peer-reviewed, abstract available, of course. These are pretty self-explanatory. ABM reviews, again, that filters there, so you can enter your search terms above, and you can apply that on from this page. You can also filter by systematic reviews, by the way, if you want a quick scope as to what's out there, publication date, and you've got other elements here as well, including critical queries, which I mentioned earlier. Again, there's therapy, diagnosis with the research areas and the strategies. So different reviews there at best balance and so on. So they're there. And you can use the control key, by the way, to select more than one. So if you wanted to choose, for example, economics and costs, you can select both. So if I just did this one, you can do that here. Okay, but I'm not going to run that now. So a number of filters there. Initially, you've got search options. So this indicates how we're searching. So typically by default for MEDLINE database on EBSCOhost, you'll be searching using proximity searching. So by default, proximity searching searches for words when they appear near each other. So that means the words are in any order and within 5 words or less. Okay. Now, there's a caveat to that because within Ancient England, that's been relabeled phrase. So you can relabel these features, these search modes. So proximity becomes phrase, and then also it becomes an exact phrase search by configuring it for the within operator within 0 results. So in other words, if you put words like pediatric nursing, it would search for pediatric nursing in that order as a phrase. Okay. If you use the default setting, proximity, then near 5 words or less, it would search for pediatric nursing or nursing pediatric within 5 words or less. Okay, so just to clarify that, and also for the other search modes here, including natural language search, if you click EBSCO Connect, the link there, it will take you to this page, which hopefully will come up shortly, and that gives you the breakdown of the search modes and what they actually do. Okay, so basically find all my search terms, which is used for our discovery service, searches with the Boolean and between terms, whereas find any inserts the Boolean operator. So it could be children, pediatrics, so be children or pediatrics, and then natural language is there, which we'll come to in a moment. So again, you can check those out. We have this context sensitive help menu, likewise for the expanders. So we have apply related words, apply equivalent subjects. If you click that link, again, it'll take you to the expanders help page, and it clarifies what they're doing. Okay, so related words relates to the thesaurus term based on your keyword search. Equivalent subjects is based on a concept related to your keyword search, and then in turn retrieves additional content based on the thesauri. So again, you can explore those in more detail. Publications is here as well. So if you want to see a list of index publications within MEDLINE, unlike the classic version where the link is on the toolbar, it's now within this interface, okay, within this screen, and you can search for publications. You can use the alpha menu, or you can browse accordingly, and you can search by any word or subject and description. And then we have MEDLINE there as well, which we'll come to in a moment. So before we go any further, let's run a search. I'll click new search to clear the screen here. And we are going to use the natural language search. So I'm going to go for that in the search options, choose natural language mode, and I'm going to enter query here, how to, let me guess right, improve compliance with home dialysis. Okay, so we run that as a question. We've got natural language search mode on. If I click search now, you should see the results appearing shortly. Okay, so obviously it's going to be quite specific. You'll see the various terms highlighted in yellow there, etc. Okay, and then the results are sorted by most relevant. By the way, you can go for the most recent or the oldest if preferred. And you'll notice above the result list, we have this confirmation here. Okay, and we've got the natural language search mode on here, and you've got this show refined query. So it does tell us explicitly what the Boolean logic is, how the search has been constructed based on the question that I've asked. So you can see within these parentheses, there's home dialysis. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis, and compliance or adherence or engagement. Okay, so that's the search strategy that's been created based on what we've input in terms of the question. Okay, so the language model has generated this query based on what I input as my question. Okay, so it's there, and we've had good feedback on it so far. If you were to run an equivalent search, if you just put in home compliance with home dialysis as a general proximity search, you would end up with different results. Of course, this is going to be much more specific, much more relevant to what you're looking for, essentially. So that's the natural language search. Also, just to point out with MEDLINE, by the way, with the mesh terms, you can select the MEDLINE Mesh 2025 tab. And here, if you're looking, for example, prevention of heat stroke in children, although we've just kind of gone through summer, as it were, then you can you can browse for heat stroke, by the way, and click search here. And you'll see it brings up the main term. So heat stroke is a mesh term here. And you'll see on the right, you've got major concept and explode. So major concept means that would be selecting the subject edit, the mesh term, to retrieve results where heat stroke is the main or primary focus of any item index in CINAHL where it's the main focus, the primary subject. Explode will just include related to narrow terms. Okay, so you can click the downward arrow, by the way. It gives you the scope note, okay, the details of this condition. It also gives you option to choose other subheadings to be a bit more focused in your search. So if you're looking at diagnosis of heat stroke or drug therapy, then you can choose that to focus and refine your mesh search in relation to drug therapy, in relation to heat stroke. And for each of these subheadings, there's a scope note as well. By default, all subheadings are selected. Now, if you click on the actual term itself, you'll see the scope note appears again, but it also tells us what it's used for. So heat stroke is one word or two words, etc. Also incorporated in 1996. Previously, up to 1996 or 1995, heat exhaustion was used. So that's been superseded. So for about 30 years, heat exhaustion was used. It's now heat stroke from 1996 onward. And you also see the mesh tree as well displayed under diseases. So this is under wounds and injuries, heat stress disorders, and then you see heat stroke here. So if you select this term, you note the explode column is selected. And what that means is we're also going to include sunstroke here as well. Okay, so if you wanted to run a search, a mesh search on heat stroke, then you click add to search and it adds to the top search box here. You can see MH is the field code, so that's the exact mesh heading, which is also reflected in the fields that are available from the drop-down menu. So you can see that there. And we've got the plus sign that indicates that we've exploded it to include sunstroke as well. Okay, so just a reminder that those are available there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do another search and we'll run through some of the other options, especially in terms of the various options for processing results as well, etc. Okay, so sorry I don't see any questions or comments as yet, but please feel free to post them as needed. So what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to do chronic migraine and acupuncture. So I'm going to start off with a title and abstract search. I'm going to combine it with a subject search, and then we'll do the same for the condition, so the intervention. So we're going to start with chronic migraine or migraine. And as I type here, it's not showing right now, but I'll put headaches as well. Okay, just for now. There is an autocomplete feature. For some reason, it's not showing right now. It may be disabled at this time, but normally you get an autocomplete feature which will display alternative terms that you might want to use, and these are based from users across the globe. So basically, we log the kind of typical searches that are performed on this topic related to these terms, and you can select those if you wish, or you can carry on into terms that you're familiar with and you've explored previously, perhaps. So I'm going to add title abstract here as well. And what I want to do is combine it with the subject search. So how would I do that currently on this interface? Well, I can select OR from the drop down here, go back to the mesh headings. I'll clear this and then add in chronic migraine. Okay. And as I type, you'll enter, you'll see if give me the choice, the term here, migraine disorders. Okay. And if I tried it this way around, if I just did this one, yeah, it won't do that. So relevancy rank works for this search. Migraine disorders here, I can choose that. Again, you've got the scope note. If you click on the link, you'll see what it's used for. Okay, and then also where it sits within the hierarchy, the mesh term. Okay. So exploding would include these other terms within that set or that tree. So what we can do now, we can then add the search. Okay, so we've got the title abstract search. So whether these terms appear in the title abstract combined with the mesh search, And if I click search, it will bring out the results in the results list page. Now, of course, what we're going to do, we're not going to focus on these results just yet because we can combine them with the actual intervention, which will be acupuncture. So I'll go to the search history in a moment. I mentioned some changes, but that's coming for that as well. So we'll just do the intervention and then we'll combine the terms together. And I'll show how you can do that on the new interface currently. So we've done chronic migraine, and now we're going to look at acupuncture. So I can put acupuncture or acupressure maybe. Okay, so for now, again, that's going to be within the title abstract field. And then I'll select all here and go to the mesh tab, and I'll select acupuncture here. Okay, so okay, questionnaire from Alexander. It will be useful to see the current search parameters terms as the search results load. Is this possible, please? Yes, it's coming, basically. I think I understand what you mean. So basically, at the moment, you cannot see the search history displayed on the results page. That is coming. That is under development. It should be released soon, basically. So that is under development right now. Yeah. So I looked at that again, but that's a good point. Normally, I know with Classic, as you're used to, you'll see the search results appearing below the search boxes, etc., above the result list. That feature is going to be enabled in due course. Okay, so it's being worked on. So acupuncture, I'll show you where you find the search history under recent activity. But you can set acupuncture here. Again, you might want to select more than one element here. Okay, I'll just select these, and then acupuncture. Let's see. Yeah, and you can see here the prompt there for acupuncture or regular use, acupuncture ear, etc. So again, it does prompt you to use the appropriate term there. I'll choose these and then add to the search here. So make sure we've got or again. Okay, so you can see I'm now combining, as before, the previous condition. I've now selected title abstract. I've got the mesh terms included here, and I'll click search. So as I said, in the future, you will see the two sets of terms appearing above the result list. Right now, it's not available. It's coming. But for now, if you go to recent activity, you'll see the first tab is search history, and it details what we searched so far. Now, at the moment, it's recorded my previous natural language search. So what I'm going to do here is to delete that. Okay. So I've got these two sets. Notice it's in reverse chronological order. So the most recent search is shown first. Even though we're running on the same search, it's the most recent result set. So to reverse that, we'll change that, go to newest and change it to oldest, and you can see how we started. So we've got the first set on the condition, and then we've got the intervention here. Okay, so if we want to combine those two, which we do, of course, we'll select both sets here. And then we'll click combine with and. Okay, so click combine with and you see it's now grouped the two together using the Boolean and then we click search here, hit the magnifying glass, and it'll bring the results in on this page. So now we have the results displayed on the screen. You'll see it depends on the nature of the query we're running, whether we want to look through individual records, whether we want to save them. But if you go look at through individual records, first thing to note is that we have what we call the brief format for display of results. So at the moment, then you may have only a short-term abstract or a brief line or two of the abstract. So for example, item 3, you have this as the kind of introductory sentence to the abstract. If you want to view the full abstract, click show more. Okay, sometimes these are not very long, others are longer. We might find one that's quite long here. So this one's a bit longer and so on. So each time to view the abstract in its entirety, you need to click show more, or you can go to the detailed record and view that. Now, at this stage, if you want to view the full abstract when you are viewing results, so you see an abstract for each one displayed up front in its entirety, there is a setting in the tool EBSCO Experience Manager which allows you to do that. So it's possible to set your profile maybe globally for all users within the institution to see the abstract for each resource as they appear. Okay, so there's not a toggle, there's not an option on this tools menu to change that, but it can be done centrally with the admin tool so that each time you look at result list, each abstract is displayed. Now, historically, the problems with that is that some of the abstracts can be very lengthy, so kind of clutters the screen, makes browsing a bit harder, probably, arguably. So anyway, if you do prefer to see the abstract displayed, then that needs to be set by default in the result list. It needs to be set in the EBSCO Experience Manager tool. Also, for subheadings, we've also condensed it so that there are a lot of subheadings for some of these references, and again, they may clutter the screen. Okay, so again, you need to click the Show More option where appropriate. Also, for authors, you'll notice here we've had issues before with multiple authors, and it clutters the record and makes it not easy reading on the eye. But now you'll see there's a Show More or Click More thing, and then you can see more authors displayed. So wherever there are multiple authors, you'll see the option to click more, and it gives you the number for more, and it will display them here. So again, it's just making it's more easier on the eye, as it were, again, for accessibility also, no doubt. Now, of course, if you do want to view the details more, then you can go to the detailed record page, the detailed record, by clicking on the link to the title of the article, and you can see where it's published in, the authors there, and the details, so the metadata. So you can click through to the author fields, click through to the source, etc., and you see the mesh terms as well. So, and you can see the complete abstract in this instance as well, along with the references. So again, more detailed information. Now within this page, as you can, the result list, you've got also, by the way, publication contents. So it'll give you additional articles available within this journal issue. And then we have the tools to save. So the icon there, the bookmark icon, the cite tool. So if looking to copy the citation. So you can set now the default citation style. It's also a new feature, relatively new. So I've got Harvard selected. You may have APA if you're using APA PsycInfo, for example. You may have Chicago, Vancouver. So you can choose the default style for your institution, for your library service, whatever it might be, out of these ones that are currently listed. There's also the export citation. You can export it in deferred citation to EndNote in RS as well from this record page. Add to project. So add to project is basically your personal custom folder. So if you are running a search, you're doing an evidence search, and you want to save the search later, and also you want to save records to view later, then you need to be signed into MyEBSCO. So click sign in here, and then you would create an account here on this page. Okay, you can use Google Sign In as well, by the way. So you can enter your name, etc., note the criteria, and agree to the consent form. So anyone who has queries about the privacy policy for EBSCO, that is available for you to view there. And then once you create the account, you can sign in here, and hopefully my VPN will not fail here. Okay, so now it's giving me the option to add to a project. So basically at this stage, I can create a new project, I can create a new one, or any one of these. Now I've got this project on chronic migraine and acupuncture I've done before, so I can just add this article to the project. So the projects themselves are under my dashboard. So you have projects here, and you see I've got this project here, chronic migraine acupuncture. I've done this before. If I click through to that, you'll see now this record's been added. Okay, so I've got these records that have been added. I've also got my search here. Well, I used to have the search here, it's gone now. I've deleted it, but I've got records now. So this is to compare this. So just to clarify this. So projects is the personal custom folder that you can use to create, a folder for searches and for results. Okay, so you can combine the two. If you've not yet migrated, of course, and even if you have migrated, there is an option to generate a report of your currently accessible folders within the classic interface. So this feature will be available to the end of December, the end of this year. You can generate a report. It provides a spreadsheet, and it will detail your folders and subfolders and the content you saved previously. Save, by the way, is different in terms of that it's a generic save folder. So whenever you save an item initially, unless you specify it goes to a project, it will save it to the generic folder. Now, obviously, if you're not signed in, you will lose that content. But once you're signed in, you will have that indefinitely. So it is possible to go in. For example, these items have been saved here. I can go in and I can export them. I can download them here, by the way. But I can also go in and I can add this to a project. I can move this to a project. So I can go back in and then add now. So you have the option this is, and it does say it's already existed, so you're not going to duplicate results there. It does say that. Okay, but what it means is you can save results initially and then decide you want to create a project, or you can save them directly to a project, whichever is easiest. Okay, question here from Alexander. Can you export references saved to projects in a particular citation format? So if we go to projects, okay, we go to this one, got these two records, and I can export these records. I can export them in a RIS format, for example, RefWorks and NoteWeb. Okay, so I can do that here. I can also download them. So I can download the metadata, Word format, CSV, PibText, etc. as well. Okay, so those options that are available there. Okay, so you have the export option there, and of course you can include searches, which we'll look at shortly. Recent activity, again, I want to go back to this, is where your search history is recorded, and also if you viewed any records, which I now have. I've viewed this twice, so I could delete one of these. Okay, so again, that record's there, and if I wanted to, for example, save this record, I can just export it into RIS format, RefWorks, etc., in NoteWeb, or I can download from here as well. Okay, and that's where again supported here. And I also have this option again, the tools. I can add it to a project as well. Okay, so again, I can go in, choose a project, and add. And it's been obviously done before. So I go in. I can also share this, by the way. Click share. So I can create a link to it if I wanted to. You see, and copy that to the clipboard. I can do that there. And I can delete and download from here as well. So that's recent activity. That includes your search history, so it tracks your search history, and also any viewed records. And there's the alerts here, which we'll come to if you want some alert in relation to a search or a journal publication. So I'm going to go back here and just look at the search again, and just quickly cover some other things before we get too far into the session. So you can, of course, limit your results. So at the moment, I've not limited my results, but we've got these filters here. So for example, I can limit to full text only. Okay, so then 242. I can choose peer reviewed. Majority of content in Medline is peer reviewed in any case. All times, I can set maybe the past 5 years. And they got source type. So these are all academic journals. Now, there are other limits as well. So if you go to all filters, it will show what's currently active. So we've got the past 5 years included here. We've also got apply subjects as the expander that's currently on. We've got other options here, for example, English language. I'm based in the UK, so maybe that's what I'm up for. Publication date again. Subject major heading, this relates to the mesh term as well. So again, you can choose any of those. Publisher, publication, publisher, language again, and also age and gender. So again, if you're looking for a population group, patient group, for example, you're looking at, all adults, there are 15 references here, then you can apply that filter. Okay, so we look at 15 or 27 now, okay, in total from the original search. So if we go to all filters again, you'll see we've applied the past 5 years and also all adults there as well. Okay. For some reason, link full text is not there, but I think if we go back to full text, it came off. Yeah, these are full text records now, so this is what I wanted to get to. Okay. Just there from, I think, Benta. Sorry, I got the name wrong there. What is the best approach when I want to open a saved search, a search including several combinations, edit the search, and then run against the newly edited search? Okay, good question. I'll try and come to that in a moment. Just to mention the record view again. So on the result list page, you'll see here where full text is available, you'll see links below. So you see access options, we've got PDF online full text. So if we go to the PDF link first here, just to highlight the functionality for the PDF full text content within the EBSCO interface, the new interface, you'll see it very much looks like what you'd expect, the electronic reproduction of the original article. But we've also got these tools on the top right hand of the screen there. So you've got the saved icon. This is saved already. We've got the citation tool. Notice again, you can copy the citation to the clipboard. You can export it as well there. We've got the add to project again feature. So again, you can go in and add it to a project, or you can create a new project here. So it does allow you to create a new project. And for those who are working on a project or evidence search, for example, you can specify a date for the deadline, and you may want to add who this is for. So this will be your personal information. This is only accessible to you as a user. So again, this is your custom folder area, the projects. You can download again. So if you want to download this PDF, you can do so, or you can download the online full text. And there's also the option to download the metadata in Word format if you prefer, or BibText, and so on. So those options are available. Print icon is still there. You can still print content. We probably do that less and less these days, but you still have the option to print, send it to your printer. And then there's the text-to-speech software. So again, this is new for the interface because you can now listen to the audio file of a PDF article being read, and you can download the MP3. Previously, it was limited to online full text only. Okay, so let's go back a step. And just to highlight again the online full text before we respond to that question, click on online full text here. And this is where you have the option to try, in addition to the other tools I've just shown you, which are still visible on the top right, you have the globe there, the translation icon, and then you can translate this. So for example, if I wanted to translate to, let's go for, not spend too long on this. Let's go for Norse or Netherlands here, Dutch here. Okay. So this is going from English to Dutch, as it were. And then you can revert, once that's been done, you can revert back to English. So again, if you're a Dutch speaker, native Dutch speaker, then obviously you know the accuracy of this. It is a machine translation, and you can see it's been translated by Microsoft on the right-hand column there. Okay, so again, I think, I can't remember how many languages it is. I believe it's at least 40, it could be up to 60 now, I can't remember now. But again, you'll see numerous languages covered here. So again, if you find articles in another language that you're not familiar with, you can translate it to your local language, okay? So that is available for online full text. And there's also, with the text-to-speech software, the additional options for the listening to change the text highlighting for word color, sentence color, and also, again, the downloading of the MP3 is available there as well. Okay, so that's available for the software for those access options. And you'll find also, if you go into the record itself, you will find the same options are available here, and you can download the record from here as well, whether you want the full text or metadata only as well. So again, if you want to share this, you have the options for OneDrive or create a link or email. So you can send the article via email, and if PDF and online full text is available, these will be included as an attached file. Okay, so you can send that to the appropriate recipient. The last thing I just mentioned before I forget, before I touch the question, is these results. Now, we've only got 15 currently. You can save, obviously, all 15. You can just save them there, and you can also export them. So the export feature supports up to 25,000 records, which obviously is a huge number, but it's in line with what Cochrane would process for their reviews. So you can do an export, and with that, you will need to be signed into my EBSCO folder. You would enter the email address, choose the appropriate format, so RIS, for example, and send. You'll get confirmation on screen that that link, the download metadata for your results, is valid for 7 days. Okay, and then you would click on that and extract the details there. Okay, so that option to export from the result list is available. So I only have 15 here, but it could be up to 25,000, etc. Okay, so those tools are there. Again, the site tools also here as well for the result list. Okay, so just a quick question. So, okay, if you run a search, okay, so if you open a Save Search, then you say, for example, you want to edit the search. So, okay, if we go into, let's go for recent activity here. I'll just try this again. So I'm going to run this search, and this time I think I'll just save it to, okay, so I've got the search, and I'm going to go to the tools menu, search actions, and save the search. Okay, now it's the same search I ran before, but you can see here on the screen, it gives me the search name. It defaults to the actual search query. You can see the combined query below. You can copy that to the clipboard and rerun it. Okay, so you can do that there. It gives you all the parameters selected, like the search mode, expanders that are applied, the filters that are applied, etc., and the subqueries. So what I would do in this instance, I would change the labeling for it. So I'll annotate it to make sure there's a difference between this and the previously saved one. So I'll put 2 or number 2. Okay, so I'll just save this one. So you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page to save it. Now, I've saved the search. I didn't add it to a project. I saved it to the search, but it does tell us you can manage save searches from the save page within my dashboard. So we click close and we'll go to saved. Okay, and we'll go to searches and you'll see this one is here. Okay, so we've got this saved. When it was saved, number of results, and of course it tells us the filters that we've applied, expanders, also the search mode as well. Now, if we want to edit that, we can. If we go into the tools menu, go to search details. In fact, it's not on this one. But again, you can copy the clipboard and rerun that from this page, essentially. Okay. So what I might do here is just go in, and if I go to recent activity, and again, the search is here, go to search details. Yeah, okay. So what I do, I'm going to just show you another way here. And as I said, there are changes coming to the interface in the next few weeks, as it were. So if I did something similar, let's go for another one this time. Let's put attack, and now it's showing actually this autocomplete feature I wanted to show earlier. It's appearing now. So on this demonstration site, a bit glitchy there, but this is where you can choose terms that others have used, and I'll combine it with statins here. Okay, and I'll run the search here on this screen. So click search here, just a generic search. So unqualified search. And if I go into recent activity now, that's obviously been tracked. It's been shown here. And if I go into that, let's go to search details. You can see I can edit this search. So if I click edit search now, I can add, for example, United Kingdom, etc. Okay, and I can now update the search. Click continue. Again, and if you look at the query, it's now incorporated the territory, United Kingdom, etc., UK, Britain, and so on. So it's updated the search here, and I can just make sure. Okay. So I can save the changes there, click close. And again, you've got that. So I can click on that and rerun that search, essentially. Okay. So as I said, there are things coming, particularly which will probably be more helpful. With the results page, you will see the search history appearing above the result list. Okay. And that will be editable at some point as well. Okay. So I don't know, that's quite a few things there, steps there to take on board, but so I don't know if that is helpful. Okay. And obviously with this listing as well, activity, you can go in and delete sessions as well. So you can go in and delete. And again, you can add the search to a project. So for example, this one I've just done, I can select the tools, add to project, and create a new project for, I'll put myocardial infarction and statins. Okay. And if it's a project, if I'm supporting a condition, then I can give it a due date, for example, say the end of November, for Dr. Smith, okay, whatever it might be. So I can just click create. If I go back to my projects, you can see this project here, and then I'll by search here, okay, with the results there. And of course, I can save the records. So if I go back, if I rerun this, then I can go in, I can select these results and add it to the project. Add now. If I go back to my project, you'll see this not only has a search now, it has records. These 50 records also saved here. Okay. So I'm conscious of the time here. We're near the hour mark. Okay. Yes, yeah, hope to be able to edit searches, say, for a longer time, not in recent activity as well as later. Yes. So there are changes coming. So if you obviously, if you go back, if we go back and then we want to save a search, I'm just going to use the back browser there. If we want to create an alert, sorry, we talk about saving search, create the alert, we can create the alert here. By the way, it does again default to the search query, okay, which is the edited one, and I can add it again. Let's put heart attack to save time here. Statins in the UK, and then I can choose the frequency. Daily by default, I can go for weekly, etc. I can have my email address here, it's already entered because I'm logged in, and I create the alert, and that will update me on a weekly basis, new content in relation to this search query based on my search strategy. So the alerts are saved under my dashboard. So this is a journal, this is the search alert here, and you can go in and edit the alert as well as view the results. So I could change it now to monthly, for example. Also, when you edit it, you can extend so beyond the year. So the default setting is to expire after 1 year. Also, you can go in and delete it if you need to. So if I save changes here, click close, say for example it's no longer required, then I can just go in into the alerts menu, search alerts, and I can delete from here. Going back to publications, just briefly, you can access publications from the research tool. So you've got new search there, it takes you to the new screen. So back to the home page. Help is by default going to EBSCO Connect, by the way. If you're in the NHS in England, it will take you to the NHS help page, I believe, at least for the hub. The Discovery search takes you to the help on the hub page. So it can be configured to go to the appropriate resource for supporting your users in terms of help. But it takes us to the quick start guide here. We find more information. And then Publication Authority takes you to the publications link that you see there. So if you go to Publication Authority, it takes you here. And then you can enter a journal, for example, I'll put BMJ for time. You can search for that. So your case reports there, BMJ open, so on. So again, you can choose any one of these journals, publications, and then you can select the publication tools menu and you can create the alert for this journal. It gives you this information. You can change it to this, perhaps just abbreviate that. And then it gives us confirmation and create the alert. So you'll be alerted to new content for BMJ open in this instance. And again, you will find that under alerts. Okay. And of course, if you no longer require the journal, the publication, then you can just go in and delete it if you need to. Okay. And of course, there's a shortcut to the mesh headings as well. If you want to go back to the mesh headings directly, you can go from the research tools menu as well. Okay. So the last thing I'll just show you briefly is the Pico app. I know we're running out of time here. So this is the guided search. You can enter terms here. So for example, if I put in gallbladder dysfunction, let's see, what was it now? Surgery, for example, you can add these terms in, etc. So you can, add quality of life, whatever it might be. You can just enter your terms here, etc. And you can just click add to search here. I'm just doing this very quickly here. And then it gives you the actual search string, and then you can run that here. Okay. So again, and you'll see the terms highlighted. Obviously, the more fields that you complete regarding Pico, the more that will be highlighted here, etc. Okay. But I just wanted to cover that very quickly. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing here and just go back to my PowerPoint. So just to clarify then, we do have the EBSCO platform roadmap. So that's available through ebsco.com/roadmaps. There is a tile there to research platforms. So this site is typically updated every quarter, but often more is added. And that will take you to the following page, which allows you to filter according to the product. So if you're looking at EBSCO specifically, like Medline, you can choose the radio button and it will list what's currently coming, etc. So you'll see here, guided style search boxes maintained on the result list. So that means where the results will appear, the 3 rows will still appear above the result list. There's also the ability to bulk delete from the search history, and also not shown here is the search history appearing on the result list page as well. So again, that is coming. So I alluded that earlier in the session. So again, it's worth a look. I might be able to just briefly get that up in this. I'll post that in the Teams chat for you, so you can see that with your own eyes, as it were. So I'll skip this slide here. Also, for the majority of you, if you use EBSCO Connect, if you sign in as a user and you can request an account for EBSCO Connect, then, and your colleagues can also, you'll share individual accounts, but they'll be linked to the same institution, then you can track cases. You can report cases that you come across. Maybe you have requests, maybe there are things, more information you need, etc. And you can submit cases through the case management portal, etc. Okay, so again, worth a visit to EBSCO Connect. That does provide access to EBSCO Academy with more training materials, including videos, etc. as well. And we do have a dedicated training resources page. This was originally set up for the NHS in England, but it is kind of open to all sectors. It includes basically health-related content in terms of training on databases, also current recordings of webinars, so training videos, also upcoming training sessions, and support information, which includes a listing of tutorials, handouts, user guides, etc. So again, you may want to explore that. That's at nhsresources.stacksdiscovery.com. So that uses the Stacks content management system. But we've collated resources there in one place for those who focus or use EBSCO healthcare databases, etc. And there are these links to the new interface as well, the quick start guide, which is very useful, frequent asked questions, and also how user feedback shaped the new interface. Obviously, you can contact me directly at iCooks@ebsco.com if you wish. There's an evaluation form for this session. I will conclude here and look forward to seeing you online at a future session. Thank you.